Screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Look, I was like building those, those data I was integrating before since morning, and like 15 or 20 minutes like 10 to 15 minutes before, the error is resolved. Now there is like if you can see, so tables from our database. Okay. Those are the tables. I only means the data integration about the some tables. I already completed the data integration part, and for the further like adding new constraint, new data, those kind of stuffs are pending. So that's why I will show everything like from this output value to the basic database describing in the next class. So for today, let's discuss about like the queries in the syntax. Save as listening to. So previous day, I already told you the basic DDL or data definition language. The queries are like in creating database, inserting data, those kind of stuff. Okay. So how you can create a database? The query like create database, then something. And I guess, do you guys use Sublime text before? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
For which purpose?
So for DBMS project, I have used some.
For DBMS project, how?
So for connecting web,
No. I understand that. I mean, for which purpose use that? Like writing codes or for writing your HTML template or CSS style?
yes, HTML and CSS I have used some.
That's majorly used in general. There is one thing is you can attach your database to your Sublime text also. For that, actually, for your daily purpose or something like basic your Python coding, any writing, any script, it's really easy if you can use Sublime text because it's really light-headed with 30 or 40 MB file, and you can attach any kind of extension by using different kind of packages. Okay. So after you download your Sublime text, just press Control Shift P. It will open your command palette. So for you can means just like install package control. There is one topic called package control, and you can install the package control first. After installing package control, there is one command called install packages. So after you install packages, there is tremendous amount of packages will be there. Like if you want Python, just pick Python. Python already built, means in Sublime text is already there, but SQL is not there. There is called SQL. There is called SQL tools. This one, SQL connection for your HTML purpose. That major extension will be there. Major packages you can just install it, and it's really light. Means the application is really light, so there will be no problem. the terminal will be there. I have one problem, means there is another one problem is that the database connection. So I cannot, means I can usually simply use it as a your note editor. There is one plugin tools that SQL tools is flopping when I was connected there. Okay. And also, like, if you want to build one system like package settings or something, download them, then package control, go to settings. This is completely in JSON format. Okay, you can just simply edit the JSON format and you can use. I use means when I was start learning Python, before means using the Jupyter notebook and all kind of stuff, I use Sublime text. Okay, Sublime text you can just use it as a single script, a single module. This SQL tools is not working in my. There is some another packages will be there that I need to install. Then after that, I can use Sublime text as our means writing or SQL queries, and it will be directly connected to my database. If you guys means interested, then I will means tell you like how you can connect this all kind of things. So come to the so you guys already know that we can create our database, okay, using the command create database and database, or in your MySQL. From there also you can schema, and you can, there is one thing is file new model. You can also create new database models here. It's good that you can use queries to creating data there. Okay. So have you guys practiced from the last session any queries? Manish, can you remember any queries from the last session?
No, sir.
Because this SQL, those kind of stuff, you need to do that. Otherwise, it's means the query is so similar. You always need to Google it if you guys did not practice it. Okay. So let me tell you from the beginning. The basic DDL command, if you guys remember, like create, alter, okay, drop, okay, truncate, rename. Like when we will be changing the entire our database, like creating database, deleting our database, okay, in like inserting our data, okay, those kind of stuff we'll be doing, those kind of query in general called our data definition language. Okay, you can see the also the definitions, like I means you can, if you're interested, you can go like that, but it's not necessary. Just try this. There is in single line you can find many definitions. What is DDL? What is SQL function? What is RDBMS? Those kind of stuff. I already discussed in the previous classes. You can go through there. You can already seen those kind of stuff. But it in your real life practice, it's not necessary and it's not needed. So for your database, I told you like creating database, altering your data, drop your column, renaming your data, renaming your column, those deleting your data from your database. Okay, deleting your database. Those kind of stuff will be using by data definition language or DDL. Yeah. like creating a database. After that, when you create a database, you need to select which database you can use. Like in your real life purpose, the database not only the single, there will be multiple. Like create database, like database name to create database name. I'm creating the 3 databases. Okay, you can like imagine visually. Next day, I will properly like deliver those kind like connecting from the database to this command, so you can easily understand. Okay. Just understand how I can write the query using basic logic. You did not have to memorize, just one simple little things you have to memorize, like the create will be for creating new database or creating new table. Okay. For that purpose, we will be using the term is create. That part you only need to memorize, nothing else. Apart from it, just practice it, build your logic, it will be easy. Like in your simple language. When we will be creating the database, in our language, we will simply call it like creating our database. So create database, then database name. It's simple. Okay. So after creating your database, there will be like you need to mention which database you will be using. Okay. So for that, we will write use our database name. Okay. This is our command. Use our database. You can see after I created the database here. Okay, I am using the database. Use our database name. Okay. Then after you creating the database, you need to create the tables, right? First. So for creating the table, like create table, then table one or something you can call. Then first you need to write the column name. Okay. So if you will be like the syntax will like column name, then our data type. Okay. Then in bracket we need to mention the size. Okay. Then any constraint we want to add. For next column name to data type, then mention the size, and if we want to give any constraint we will write there. Okay, next similarly column name 3 data type size. Okay. This is the syntax. Okay, if you want to like in your example, if you want to create one database, like I create a table, like this is one student table, create table, and SQL is not case sensitive, so either you can write in capital letter or small letter, it won't be really bother there. But in general, for our misunderstanding purposes, or when you deliver the exact query, so that time in industry standard, we generally write queries in our capital letter or uppercase letter, and apart from that, like there if we write something that is not used in syntax, okay, means the create using syntax. Okay, table using syntax, those are the basic syntax we can write. So that time we will be, when we writing the query, we use the capital letter, and apart from it, like table name, column name, okay, database name, those kind of stuff we generally use as a your smaller or lowercase letter. Okay. So creating one student. So first there will be column name will be student ID. So simple like ID, and then what will be our data type? ID. Generally, for our student ID, student roll number, like we in general use normal integer number. That time we can use like as a int. And for int, we did not have to give any size because by default it will take 20 bytes of data, or automatically you can save more than 2 lakhs something amount of digit you can store. At 2 to the power, what is the value? 1 byte is how much bit? 1 byte is 8 bit. So 16 by 2 to the power 16. That much amount of data you can store using this variable ID int. So already that byte is defined behind our memory. So we did not have to put in like int 20 or int for 30, 40. We did not have to write like that. Let's wait. ID is int, and we can mention like for sometimes we need to use some constraint. If you guys remember the constraint, the comment you can write like this. So constraint. If you guys remember, not null. Okay. Then unique. Then our keys like primary keys, foreign key. Okay. Then our some default for default value. There will be some index value. Then check constraint. Those are the constraints we generally use. So sometimes we need to mention that in our table which column will be our primary key. So we can take any reference from there when we are addressing some data. So there will be less data discrepancy. So why we will use this? There is one term called normalization. So normalization, there is some form like 3 or 4 form of normalization. Normalization is basically called like when we have the data from our database or from any user, there will be many data discrepancy. Yeah, there will be data duplicacy, there will be data redundancy, there many form of data discrepancy will be there. So the redundancy, we need to remove that redundancy, or at least we need to minimize the data discrepancies. So that time we need to normalize our table. So for normalize our table, there will be like many form will be there. Like in general, the 3 or 4 form of data normalization we generally use. One is 1NF, one is 2NF, one is 3NF. Okay. So those are nothing but the basically concept. Okay. So when we introduce new tables, we insert new data. That data means the error will be more minimized. So normalization will basically more talk when we'll be discussing the statistic and those kind of words. For general, just remember like from our table in our database, from our tables, when there will be more like data discrimination, there will be data error there. We need to control it at like row level or the column level. In that time, we need to use this primary keys, foreign keys, and the other concepts. So like suppose you can consider this is one table you already built. Okay, this is another table you already built. Okay, from this table we can call it like the students. and there will be some reference will be there like student grades. So here, if you consider like one column, you already get the ID. Okay, another, just ignore first. Just remember the one column is ID here. So when we will be creating another table like grades here, and that time we are inserting the data in that table, grades table. We don't want the values apart from that students column. Okay, so if the ID will be like there will be three people, like there will be 1, 2, and 3 people data is there in a student table. We want that three for that three candidate in our grade table. So we will be using that part, means this ID as a primary key and take as a reference of a foreign key in our grade table. Okay, so automatically if we write like 4 here, so it will show you the error because the 4 is not available in our student table. So it will take the reference from our primary key when we will be using a foreign key. Okay, so 4 will gives us a error. We cannot insert the data here. So only we can use, means the data only use, that is 1, 2, and 3. Those 3 people's data we can insert, or some new data we can insert. But the reference would be similar to our primary keys that we define. So that time we are mentioning this ID column as our primary key. So in future, maybe some new table we can create, or some year will be created. We can use it as our reference. Okay, by creating foreign key in that new table. Okay. So this will be our command like IT integer, and the constraint we can simply write primary key, or we can here also write like add constraint and some constraint name, then the type of constraint primary key, and bracket the column name, right? Okay. We can either write like this ID integer primary key, or we can write like this. It's up to you. You can see the code. Yeah. Constraint name, something you need to give that name. So why we the advantage is, there is one advantage, one disadvantage. Okay, if you write like this, simple column name, data type, and constraint, its advantage is it's simple. Okay, and disadvantage is, suppose you need to remove that constraint only, primary key only, that time you can face a little more difficulty. So here we had a name of the constraint. This constraint, something the constraint name. So you can use that constraint name to remove that particular constraint instead of removing the entire column, like the title. Yeah. This is the advantage using right like this. So we in general, for primary keys, for in primary key, unique, not those kind of stuff we can generally write after our column name and the column data type. But using constraint like check, so you can check the values, or default, those kind of constraint we can write like in the afterwards. So int ID then name, name, what will be, then size. I told you when we will be using the 20 space will be taking, and the name we can use one constant here like unique. Here we can use another constant like before primary key. You can use like not null. As I told you guys in the previous class, that the primary key column should be always unique and not. So you can write like not null and unique. Okay, then primary key. Let's write like student name, then address, another virtual. Okay, 100 space. Email. And we know the email should be unique. Okay. Semicolon. So in SQL language, after the semicolon means do not miss the semicolon. Semicolon means that's the end of an query. Okay. This is creating a table, adding constant. Okay. Now, if we want to delete the table, so simply write drop our table, then a student, so student, or drop database in database name. You can simply in MySQL, it's simple, or you can write a long query like alter. Sorry. So to drop the column, like if you want to drop that name column, that time we need to write like alter table, our table name is student, drop column, this is the column name, or drop column and column. Okay. If you want to add new data, similarly alter table, our table name student, okay. Add our new column, okay. Email, and there is another is phone number. Add phone number. Then after that you need to write the data type int, and if you want to give any constraint, then any constraint name. If you do not give me constraint, then leave it blank. To add new column, to means change the data, or change the data type, like alter table name, then modify something like old column name to new. Those kind of stuff you can write. Just experiment with those means. Store one data in your database and experiment with those comments. So the drop and the alter comments you can try. Then those are also you can use like auto increment. Okay, you can creating views. Views will be another part. It will take time. Means I will in the next class I will discuss that views, so you can get the proper explanation. Without means seeing those values, it will be hard. So views in general is nothing but like when we're writing select star from our table name. What is our table name? Student. Okay. It will simply show the all the data from this table name student. But when, like suppose you are the third party, okay, I am the developer, so I do not want to give you the access. Okay, I only want to create a view and give you the access to the view. So that time we'll be creating one view. So how it will shows, I will explain in the next class. So those are the basic DDL commands in general. Add constraint, you can do, you can change constraint, you can add constraint, you can change the data type, you can change the column name, you can rename. One is alter table student, then rename new value something, or to change means change a new old column to new column, you can write like alter table, our table name is student. Okay, rename our old column name, to our new column. Just go through this, experiment those queries by yourselves. Then you can find like which kind of errors you can face, and you can work through it. Auto increment, those kind of stuff you can use something, because in general in your real life you did not have to like insert the data or the create data. You mostly have to fetch the data from a database. So to fetching, mostly in 90% of areas we only use the DML or data manipulation technique. So next is DML, data manipulation. What we can use, we use the insert to inserting the data, we can update to updating the data. Okay, delete, select, those are basic means DML commands. So when we're using like insert the data, there should be, the value should be matched first. Means we are using the integer data type here, we cannot push the character data type in that particular field, because it will show generally error. So we need to use the exact, that value means the integer value when we'll be pushing. Next is, if you means leave the blank, means you only write the ID value, the name value, and the address value, but you did not write the email value. That time you also get an error, because one another field will be there, that is the email field, but you did not write any data. Okay, so that's one thing you need to consider. So inserting the data, like for our student table, you can write insert table name. You can in bracket mention the column name also, like ID, name, or address, or email. Then values, values, then bracket. In bracket you know to write the data, like ID is 1, name is A. Okay, then space, then address is 2, this is your one value. Next value, write to suppose like B, address B will be, and email ID is. That's how you can insert the data to your database. And after that, just write semicolon. You can see the address. So there is one command to means expand that our table, means what kind of properties or constraint we already written there. That time we write describe our table name. So here is address or D. There is one short form also. You can see that the field will be address ID, street, city, state, and country. And one constraint is primary key by default, because we did not mention anything while creating the data. So the default constraint will be none. So you did not means, I told you that, like when you will be inserting those values in your table. So that time, suppose this email, this value is, you did not write the value here, it generally throws an error. But when we are creating like the email worker unique, that time by default there is default equal to null. Those values already set it, but we did not means write is automatically take null value, so you did not have any errors. Okay, there is means after that, when you will be like doing your analysis, you can basic for your data pre-processing, you can remove those null values that time. So you can see that the address ID street is the 5 field there, and the 5 field of data is already written. How? First actually insert into, then our address, then our address name, and then values. Okay. You can write like that, or just do not have to mention the all those field. Just write insert into address, then values. Insert into table name, then values. Okay. Now there is some kind of functions you can means while fetching the data or selecting the data, you can use the main kind of functions. One function is distinct, okay, to means to get your distinct distinct values. So how we can write like that, like select distinct, say suppose select distinct some column ID, okay, or column. So suppose we want to need the distinct value of address. So we write like address from our table name, that is student. Okay. So it will only gives you the output of the distinct value. So if there is three value like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, and Delhi, Mumbai, if there is the 5 value will be there. After the distinct command, it only returns you the Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. Not only the single column is address, you can use multiple columns there also. Generally we use the single column. It's means when you practice or doing the exercises, you understand. Then next is your limit. Limit is nothing but to limiting your views. So suppose there is 1,000 rows will be there. We only want the first 100 rows. Okay. And then we can write like select star from student limit, suppose 100. So only 100 values means 100 of rows will be only return. Then another one is most important one is where for general to give the condition. Suppose in example, say there is one column is mark. Okay. Right like that. Email. Just create another create table grades ID integer, then student D, then marks. For the decimal, I told you we only use the float. Or you can write like decimal, marks in decimal, and there will be grade. Okay. Grade will be decimal. You can also choose like how many decimal places you only need. Okay. Suppose we are taking one column is remark, and in remark there will be one character value. Worker is 1. You can give means, or suppose we can give the 4 character value, right? Check. You can give the values like pass, fail, pass, or fail. Like only if the string is matched with that value, only that time the value will be inserted in your database. Otherwise, it won't. So, suppose I'm selecting select star from grades. Okay. Now, select star from grades. I miss the semicolon there. Always remember to put the semicolon after your query. Okay. So select star from grades. Suppose where you can write like marks greater than say 80. Okay, so when the marks is greater than 80, then only the value will return. So the operator is not only using the same, the operator we can use greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. Okay, and equal to, equal to, and not equal to. So not equal to is also written as this symbol. One less than and one is greater than. Those both are same. And also see yes operator like in, not, not in, is null. To checking those value. Okay, is, there will be list. I did not remember the whole. Just go W3 school. You can see the whole list will be there. You also did not have to memorize those If you need that, means the needed one you already have situated when you will practice it or during the queries. And for if you need that, just Google it. Okay. But there is some most important operator sometimes we use. One is between, okay. Another one is like and in. This is the main most used operator. Apart from this, I mean symbol is operator also to greater than less than operator. So between, like if we want to get a value in between something, some value. So similarly we can write like select star from grades where marks between say 80 and 90. Okay, those kind of stuff we can write. Those are the basic syntax. Then, and for the like operator is nothing but your if you do the regular expression, if you already did regular expression in another language, it will be easy. Otherwise, like is nothing but, suppose we want to find a name which is starts with A. That time we can use the like operator. So just like select, what is the table name, column name from student where, no sorry, like, then we'll give the specific, give the percentage and A. A. Sorry. I did A and percentage. Okay. If we write like that, so that time your system want to find anything, any name or any string that is start with A and rest with anything, means ends with anything, it doesn't matter, it starts with A. So that's why A then percentage. If you want to finish, means the end, if you want to find the name, it is end with something like, say you want to finish, suppose good. Okay, we want to find only those specific figure who has the end name as a goal. So we can write like percentage. So only it will, whatever for means starting point will be there. It did not bother, but it will only take the last fifth value will be goal. If it is already presented, then only that value will be ready. Okay. So by using percentage, we can yeah, write like that. You can use like basic, if means I told you, if you have already habituated with reggae, so you can write like in brackets, you can give like character list, which character you want to find. Example is like, if you want to find the letter between A to G, or if you want to find like, you want to find some character, like if you want to say, suppose your first name will be A, B or C, you want to find those kind of names, then you can write like caret, which is the caret, then A. Okay, so it only find any character starting from A to C. Okay, or that's not, there is also the not, it does not start with A to, I mean I did not remember those marks. There is always find it here. SQL, there is called like, You can see those in your operator, those values is already written. Like this one, this ends with, starts with a, ends with a, or any position. Just go through there, go through. It's not some means only sometimes it will be. Just important is to practice this query or understand the syntax. So let's transform construct where customer name is like or like that way. Okay. Then those are the basic. There's tremendous amount of functions. There is no end. Like you can also use order by function to give it an like select star from students, like order by. You can order by two things. One is ascending order and is descending order. For ascending order, you can write ASC, or similarly for descending order, order by ASC. Ascending order and descending order, you can get the values. Better write like ID. And another one important operator is called as. As we will be use this operator most of the time when using means writing subquery and joining tables. That time majorly we use as a for simple, like suppose your table name is student, we want to means create the view using the different name. So say suppose our column name will be, suppose select the id already is presented here. Okay, you can change the name like id as some new name. It's kind of cool stuff. You can use the add stuff, but it's important means the really good example will be given when we'll be using those table joining or the writing the subqueries. Okay. So this is the basic means using the function. There is many more like where distinct and order insert into null values. Those are the all statement. Then next is you can like you alter the values in your here. You can
Yes, sir. Done.
okay. So as and there is another comment is called the case statement. Case statement is nothing but like writing the if else statement in your SQL. So we can create like where we can simply create one condition, but if we need to create multiple conditions, we can use this case statement. Okay. Suppose we want to change the value like update. Okay. I told you that update is your DML command. You can change the data values there. Okay. So update student. Then suppose we want to change the value to something new. So set our column name. Okay, column name suppose marks. Sorry. First, let's write name. Name is equal to. Then we can write like case when some value like name is not the answer. Let's write like grade. Table name is grades. Okay, so set the marks set the grades when marks is equal to some value. So suppose say 90, then new value. What will be the grade? So suppose say grade will be our 90%. Okay, those kind of stuff. Or you can write like case when marks is equal to 8 or better. You can write like 9. Yeah, that can at that time we can write like case. We can give the multiple condition. Okay. And also like after that, sorry, case we do not have to write the multiply, only one time we use. This is the actual query. Case when some values, then next when some values, then new values, when marks is equal to 70, then 10.00. Okay, after that we need to give one default. If those any means single value is not satisfied, we can write like else. Suppose the value will be 6 months. Then end. This is how we will get the case. Next day when is displaying those values, when you will properly set those values and showing those queries, fetching those data, using those data made by the data, that time I will show it properly. Okay. For today, you can see this means the query status, how we can write. And one thing is end. Then you can also write like from our table name. Okay, what is the table name? Table name will be grades. No, actually I am making mistakes here. What is the way? There's two in two ways you can write. Okay, this is one way. This is one way. Update, then table name, set what will be your column when some condition, otherwise the value is the condition, then the trigger. Or you can also write like update. Suppose before update, suppose which column we want to use. Okay. Suppose write like grade and marks. Select grade and marks. Then case when something like when this value this is the three condition. Select something values or else 6.00, then end from or table name. What is the table name? Grades. It's simple. What is this? We need to like select grade and marks from table name, like what we read before. So start from grades. Here after that select star which color name, then we're giving this case statement. Okay, then we give this case statement, then the table. In the simple like the in the simple query, before how we write like the case statement, it's only written like inside it, wait, you can think we are putting a block inside our query, just like that. Okay. It will be really helpful if we visually explain there. Next day, the other people will be there. It will be easy for them also. Okay. Then, like suppose you are already had the new table creates, we want to create another table based on the table you already had before. So you can write like create table, new table name, like suppose marks another table. So create table, now new table name. You can use the like operator, like our old table. What's your old table name? Let. So using that query, we can create a new table based on the values, or the means copying one table to another table. Or we can also write like insert something like new table names, which is marks, the value, select star from old table. You can also write like that. There is some mathematical function like in Python you also did. So here we can also write some mathematical function like uh, mean to get the minimum value, max, then summation means the some values of it. Okay, average, UVG, 10, or power up, square root of value, round of value. But how we can write? We can write like select like marks from the query. But here we can write like before marks we can write like in bracket. So it will only fetch the maximum marks from the data. You only return. That's how simple queries do. And also some character values will be there like upper, okay, reverse, to reverse the entire means values. Okay, some formatter operator like format is nothing but what will be your column name, okay, and your what is your, or you want to format there, format type. So the function you can means check the reference, then plenty will be there. Now after that, one important function is there, that is called group by. Group by, you can grouping any values using this group by function. Suppose you want to select, okay, select suppose marks, or select star from your table name means grades. You can group by the value, like group by, then some column. You want to group by marks. So what it will return? Suppose there will be marks like four values will be there, right? 9, 8, 7, and 6. The four values will be there in your marks column. So based on that, how many values will be there? The counted value will be returned here. Okay. This is a group by. Now, one important means SQL interview question. General people is asked also that when we will use group by function, we cannot write any conditions using the where clause. Okay, like before if we written here using the where clause, where marks something, we can give him one condition. But when we are using the group by function, grouping by this entire data, we cannot write like after that we cannot write where some values. So because it's syntactically incorrect. So that time there is one clause is introduced. This is called having clause. Like select star from like say some grades group by some values having then you can give some conditions or any aggregate functions or anything. Okay. Having some values like 7.00 or like having say marks between 8.00 and 6.0. Okay, so only in between those values we can get the group byte or the counter. Okay, I will show you the next day. Means it will be really interesting. Those kind of means having clause, group by function, where function, case statement, and most importantly, it will be used when you are reading the subquery. Okay. Then next is there is four kind of cascading data. When means suppose you want to remove the data or deleting the data, that time there is four kind of cascading sample you can add. One is called cascade, CSCAD. Another is called not null. Sorry, not null, not action. Another is called set null, and another is called restrict. So if we want to like deleting data or creating data, okay, joining the new data, updating the values, we can create one table, then update the table. Like after creating the table, suppose you can write like update. Okay, after that, what will be the query will be there dot 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 dot, dot. Then suppose like on update, and we can write like cascade. So what we will do is if we write the cascade in maybe for the table, so whatever child table is created within the parent table, that time if we delete the parent table, automatically the child table will be deleted. Okay, this is called cascade. No action means that nothing will happen. If we delete the parent table, the child table always will be there. Another is the set null. So if you delete the parent table, the child table, the value means table will be there, but there will be no values. Okay, the null values will be there. And restrict is you cannot delete the parent value because we are restricting the data. Okay. So on update, you can write like restrict. So there you cannot do any modification action in your parent table and also your child. Okay. On update, mostly we generally use after on update or on delete. Okay. In my code also where I will be writing, I mostly delete and then you can see that we are dropping the table student classes then return the cascade. So if any table is created, I created after our my means parent table, from there it is automatically deleted. Okay, so this is some cascading the data. Those are the basic functions over there. This is mostly your basic to intermediate part of SQL. Okay. Just go there. Okay, there is the insert, select, case you can ignore. Just go through there those functions, practice it. Download one CSV file, or if you do not have to download it, create a database, create some basic 4 or 5 lines of row, 4 or 5 lines of data, write queries, write set your primary keys and friends keys, use those queries, take the reference from your W3 school. Okay. And create. After that, next day, when I give the presentation, that time I will also use, because today the joining statement will be hard for you to see if we I did not have the example there. Okay. The one part is left is join. But today I will give you the visual representation. There is, in general, we simply use four kind of joins. Okay. Suppose this is your table 1 and this is your table 2. There is one part called left join, one is called right join, okay. One is called inner join, it's called outer join. This is the base. In theoretical, there is many more types of join will be there, like cross join, full outer join or full outer join is same. Okay, cross join, self join, inner join. How you can write? Writing statement will be much more time. Yeah, means you can use table name, you can use clause, you can use conditions. How the syntax part I will be discussing the next day, and I will tell you how you can simply write the join statement without like many. If you Google through it, there are many channels will tell you the like write like the many things. Okay, so the concept is, first is the left join. You can understand, like if you already have like 1 2 tables, then when you left join the data, means left join the table A. Suppose this is our table A and this is our table B. So when we left join, the entire data will be taken from left side. Okay, and what will be the common between? Understand? So anything that is written in your left part of data, left table, and what is the common in between the data? Okay, so only that part will be written. So in left join, what it will return? Everything from the left side and common between two. Student. Common between two. Yeah, this is left join. Similarly, the right join will be like everything from the right and between two. This is your right join. Then inner join. Inner join, what will return? It will only return everything common between these two. Means that value. Only this, the common part. Only that will be written. And last is your outer join. Outer join is two type of outer join. One is normal outer join, will be everything will be written. Means from table A to table B, every all value will be written. And as for full outer join, so only the distinct values between A table and B table will be written. Okay, means everything distinct in A table and everything distinct in B table. Those values will be only written in a full outer join. Okay. The join is more like that. It's people tell it's really difficult. you cannot do. Just simple and means how you can represent to yourself to your join. If you visually represent like that, then given the conditions, you will have the questions there, and given the conditions, this build a simple logic. You can easily represent it, means in from your logic to your queries. Simple. So how you can write the join query, how you can join the like is in the aliases and all kind of stuff, and also what is the difference between join and subquery. Those are also important. So that part I will discuss you the next day, and next day I also show you the data. So I'm ending for up to that for today. Next day I will give you like properly using the database and the visual representation using the your MySQL workbench. I'll show you there. Okay.
Okay, sir.